For the end of the gathering, I feel like it's redundant to introduce myself, but as per the rules, my name is Pablo Quinones, and I'm reading a story called Soft on Sinners. El Patron and his tabernacle wonder why God had been so lenient on his son. Children will choose their friends, yes, and sometimes we won't always like them. This is natural. Tax collectors, he could understand. They were just doing their job, but prostitutes? That was a bridge too far. And why did he let him grow his hair out so long? It looked like a gosh darn hippie. He sips espresso in his towering Celio. He noticed that God in his old age seemed to be going soft on sinners. Well, we all need help sometimes. That's what El Patron was there for. To lift up the Lord in his weariness, in his struggle, in their common struggle against the long-haired types that both their sons had fallen with. If only had God been just a little stricter, Jesus might have been more discriminating in his choice of friends. Fishermen, morally speaking, could go either way. With a shower and a shave, they would look halfway civilized, but the rest of them? The poor? Why all this glamorizing of the poor anyway? The carousing and the drinking, the thievery and pimping, honor among thieves. Puff. El Patron thought of those spoiled brats running around the countryside, causing so much trouble. They call themselves guerrillas. Puff. The only difference between a bandit and a guerrilla is that one wears a cowboy hat and the other wears a beret. He smokes in his towering Celio. You know, if Jesus had only stayed with carpentry and found a good woman and settled down, he wouldn't have fallen in with those dirty fishermen. It wouldn't have made him go so wild. They would never have had to kill him. El Patron thought on one of his favorite proverbs. He that spareth the rod hateth his son. It looked like God had forgotten to read his own book and spared to the rod one too many times with his son. Sometimes as a man and as a father, you have to lay down the law and tell your children, this is how things are going to be, and I don't care how you feel about it. I'm not your friend, dang it. I'm your parent. God must have been taken in by all those trendy liberal parenting theories. Be their friend. See things from their perspective. See how well that worked out. Just another liberal utopian horse dung theory down the toilet. Just like communism would be here soon. Just like surrealism. You know, when those so-called intellectuals dream of their nonsense and write papers on them, the first thing they ought to do is walk straight down to the bathroom and flush it down the toilet, because that's where they belong anyway, and they save a lot of blood and heartache in the process. Liberals, he sighed. Jesus had everything. A house to live in, a family that loved him, a promising career in carpentry, and he just threw it all away to go and party with a fisherman. Trying to be cool. Trying to fit in with the crowd. What kind of example was he setting for James and the rest of his brothers and sisters? Irresponsible. Ungrateful. El Patron guessed that there had been probably a nice Nazarene girl who would have loved to marry him. Probably many girls in Nazareth pined away for Jesus. Despite his long hair and despite the long beard, he could see that there really was a handsome young man underneath. A strong jaw, prominent cheekbones, dark, intelligent eyes. He could have had any woman he wanted, and he just threw it all away to go be with his disciple and sleep like animals out in the hills and whatever the heck kids were doing back then. The disciples were probably the products of the permissive parenting too. They were probably the reason why Jesus started going around provoking the authorities. He was probably on the reefer when he started overturning tables in the temple. Who knows what that stuff will make you do. God forbid he should be walking around the earth today. He'd probably be making that rock and roll music. Or running around in the mountains with that rifle, those silly kids. There's no doubt they would have lured Jesus away from the straight and narrow and into that jungle of perdition and surrealism. But if he were alive today, it's possible that he would have been born to him. And if Jesus were his son, he would never have been so lenient. But then again, his son was one of those now roving guerrillas. He looked up to God. Seravi. He wished he could wash his hands of the matter. It was becoming so taxing on him. Even El Monologo was turning against him. He broods in his tower in Celio. He called out from the dark to the colonel, his head of domestic security. Assemble the quesadillas. We are going to visit the newspaper. Amen.